Today we're talking about why smart drivers are suddenly buying 20-year-old cars in 2026 instead of brand new vehicles. If you're trying to avoid massive car payments, expensive repairs, and skyrocketing insurance costs, this video is for you. Most people believe the smartest move is buying a newer, more modern car. Dealerships sell the idea that newer means safer, more advanced, and more reliable. And honestly, it sounds logical. If you're spending tens of thousands of dollars on a car, you'd expect better technology and a better machine. But here's what many drivers are starting to realize. The modern car market isn't designed to save you money. It's designed to trap you financially. Today's vehicles are basically $50,000 smartphones on wheels, loaded with fragile electronics, surveillance systems, and financing plans that lock buyers into 84-month loans. And ironically, many of the smartest drivers in America are doing the opposite. They're buying 20-year-old cars on purpose. In this video, I'll break down the pre-screen loophole strategy mechanics and financially savvy drivers use to escape the modern car trap, and why cars from a specific era can be cheaper, more reliable, easier to repair, and capable of lasting 300,000 miles. Once you understand this loophole, you'll never look at new cars the same way again. But before we talk about the loophole, you need to see the financial trap hiding inside modern dealerships. The $50,000 trap. The modern car dealership looks like a showroom, but in reality, it operates more like a bank wearing a car salesman costume. Today, the average new car in America is pushing $50,000, and most buyers aren't paying cash. Dealers are pushing 84-month loans. That's 7 years of payments just to make the monthly number look manageable. On paper, the payment might look reasonable, maybe $600 or $900 a month. But stretch that across 7 years with interest, and that $50,000 car quietly turns into $65,000 or more out of your pocket. And the moment you drive it off the lot, the value starts collapsing. Most new cars lose 35 to 55% of their value within the first few years. So while you're still paying off a massive loan, the car sitting in your driveway might already be worth half of what you paid. That's why so many drivers end up financially stuck. But here's the surprising part. The price isn't actually the biggest problem with modern cars, because the real trap isn't the loan, and it isn't the depreciation. The real trap is what these cars are turning into. And once you see what's hiding inside modern dashboards, you'll understand why smart drivers are stepping back 20 years in automotive history. The touchscreen time bomb. Automakers love to say giant touchscreens are a luxury upgrade, but ask most mechanics, and they'll tell you something very different. To them, those screens are ticking time bombs. Touchscreens didn't take over dashboards because they're better. They took over because they're cheaper to manufacture. One glass screen can replace dozens of physical buttons, switches, and wiring connections. For automakers, that cuts production costs. For owners, it creates a new problem. In a 20-year-old car, if your air conditioning knob breaks, you grab a $5 replacement from a junkyard, pop it on, and the problem is solved. But in a modern car, those controls are buried inside the touchscreen software. So when that screen starts failing from heat, glitches, or a fried processor, you can lose your climate control, radio, navigation, and key vehicle settings all at once. And dealerships usually don't repair the screen. They replace the entire infotainment module, which can cost $2,000 to $5,000. All because a cheap screen stopped working. But as expensive as that sounds, the touchscreen isn't actually the biggest problem. The insurance advantage nobody talks about. Here's something most drivers don't realize until they compare the numbers. Newer cars don't just cost more to buy, they cost much more to insure. Modern vehicles are packed with cameras, radar sensors, and driver assist systems. Automakers market these features as safety upgrades. But when something breaks, repair costs skyrocket. For example, if someone lightly bumps your bumper in a parking lot, a 20-year-old car might need a simple bumper replacement. Maybe $500 or $600. But on a modern car, that bumper could contain radar sensors, parking sensors, and cameras that all need recalibration. Suddenly, that small accident turns into a $4,000 repair bill. Insurance companies know this. That's why premiums on newer vehicles keep climbing. But a simple 20-year-old sedan with basic mechanical parts usually means cheaper repairs and lower insurance costs. Over a few years of ownership, that difference alone can save drivers thousands of dollars. But insurance savings are only part of the story. Because the next advantage of these older cars might be the biggest loophole of all. Your car is spying on you. Your new car might be reporting your driving habits to insurance companies. Most modern vehicles now come with built-in telematics system, small cellular modules that constantly send data back to the manufacturer. Automakers say these systems exist for convenience, like remote start or emergency services. But they also collect something far more valuable: your driving behavior. How hard you brake, how fast you accelerate, where you drive every day. In recent years, reports revealed that some automakers have shared or sold this driving data to brokers, who then sell it directly to insurance companies. That means something as simple as braking hard at a yellow light can be flagged as risky driving. And suddenly your insurance premium rises, even if you've never had an accident. So when you buy a modern connected car, you're not just buying transportation. You may also be buying a rolling data collector that quietly tracks how you drive. But surveillance isn't the only problem with modern vehicles. Because what's happening under the hood might be even worse: the software lockout problem. Here's something many drivers don't realize until their car needs a simple repair. Modern vehicles are no longer just mechanical machines. They're software platforms, and that means many repairs now require digital permission from the manufacturer. For example, replacing something as basic as a battery in certain new vehicles can require a dealer computer to register the battery with the car's system. Without that software handshake, the vehicle may throw warning lights or even limit performance. The same thing happens with headlights, brake modules, and even windshield replacements on some modern cars. Independent mechanics often can't access the manufacturer's locked software systems, so drivers are forced back to the dealership. And dealership repairs are rarely cheap. What used to be a $200 repair at a local shop can easily turn into a $1,200 dealership visit simply because the car requires proprietary software tools to complete the job. But cars from the early 2000s were built before this software lockout era. Most repairs are purely mechanical. A local mechanic can diagnose the problem, swap the part, and get you back on the road without connecting the car to a corporate server. No digital permissions, no software subscriptions, just a machine that can actually be repaired. And for drivers who plan to keep a car for 10 or 15 years, that difference matters more than almost any touchscreen or driver assist feature. The parts availability advantage. Here's another reason smart drivers are turning back the clock. Parts for older cars are often easier to find and dramatically cheaper. That might sound surprising, but once you understand how the car industry works, it makes perfect sense. Many vehicles built in the early 2000s were produced in massive numbers. Think about cars like the Toyota Camry, Honda Accord, Ford Crown Victoria, or Chevrolet Impala. Millions of them were sold, and many of those cars are still on the road today. That means something very important for owners. There are mountains of spare parts everywhere. Auto parts stores stock them. Aftermarket manufacturers produce them. And junkyards are full of perfectly usable components pulled from identical vehicles. So when something breaks, the solution is usually simple. Need a starter motor? You can often find one for $80 or $120. Broken alternator? Another affordable replacement sitting on a shelf at the local parts store. But modern cars don't always have that advantage. Many newer vehicles use proprietary electronic modules, specialized sensors, and brand-specific parts that only come from the dealership. And if that part is back-ordered or discontinued, owners can end up waiting weeks just to get their car back on the road. Even worse, some manufacturers bundle multiple systems into a single component. So instead of replacing a small $50 part, you're forced to replace an entire module that costs thousands. Older cars were designed differently. Their parts were simpler, interchangeable, and widely available. Which means when something eventually wears out, as every machine does, you're far more likely to fix the problem quickly and cheaply. And that's one more reason many experienced drivers are quietly choosing the vehicles built before cars became rolling computers. How to execute the pre-screen loophole. The smartest drivers don't finance cars. They buy them with cash. Instead of walking into a dealership and signing a huge loan, they save around $5,000 and search private listings on places like Facebook Marketplace or local classifieds. That means no finance manager, no interest payments, and no pressure to upgrade. The trick is knowing what kind of car to look for. Today we broke down why smart drivers are buying 20-year-old cars in 2026. Modern vehicles often come with massive loans, fragile electronics, rising insurance costs, and systems that can even track how you drive. But cars from a simpler era can still offer reliability, lower ownership costs, and real control over your vehicle. Because the best car isn't the newest one you can finance. It's the one that keeps running while everyone else is still making payments. If you found this useful, subscribe. I break down the hidden financial traps and engineering shortcuts inside modern products every week.